Welcome to the Strong Coach. And today we have our guest, Anat, Peri, and we're going to get into emotional resilience. And, I imagine that's really applicable right now since people are experiencing all sorts of emotions they may not have been present to previously. And now it's like, oh, what do I do with these things? So I'm really excited to bring her in. Another reason I'm excited is I worked with her 2.5 years ago, and it was one of the most transformational experiences of my life. It gave me things um, that I use to this day. So much so, I loved it so much that we partnered together to get that program out to as many people as possible. So, but before we go any further, I want you to go over to thestrongcoach.com. And over there, we have a guide for how to pivot your business in under 48 hours. So a lot of people are wanting to take their business online right now. And even if you already have your business online, this is going to be really, really helpful. And it's a free guide. So if you go over to thestrongcoach.com and you scroll all the way down, there's this really big green button that gives you click on that, you get an email. You know the deal. So go check it out. All right. Anat, it's been really cool having you on our mothership calls. And for those that don't know, anyone who's ever been a client of the Strong Coach, we started doing daily calls to see where we could support them because a lot of things have shifted. And one of the areas in which we get to support them is in their psycho-emotional state and help them through fear and anxiety and stress. And then also, most people are in the same house. A lot of people that have been through the Strong Coach, they have tools, but maybe their partner or their kids or somebody else doesn't have the tools, and, managing that conversation with other people as well. So we've been put under a whole new set of situations. And I even for myself, I've begun to realize, isolating myself for over 2.5 weeks now with friends. A lot of things have bubbled up for me, and I go, oh, wow, that's something I wasn't dealing with before, but I'm glad I get to now. So Anat, in the last 2 weeks, since everyone started quarantining themselves because of this whole coronavirus, what have you seen as far as fear has come up?
Oh, yeah. Um, well, for collectively, um, what I've heard is a lot of anxiety, a lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of people holding on to whatever they have, whatever money they have, because they don't know if they're going to be laid off next month, if they're, or yeah, if they're going to be able to withstand this. We don't know how long this is going to be. So the fear is leaking into a lot of areas for people that I personally believe those areas were there beforehand.
Yeah.
And people are just having this just magnifies it.
Yeah, what are
And
the areas? I mean, you mentioned uncertainty around finances. There's a bit of that. What else? Where else are people experiencing fear that you've heard?
um, fear of this changing their life permanently,
Mm,
fear of getting coronavirus to begin with, fear for their family, fear for their friends, uh, stress, anger, anxiety for sure, and them not having the normal things that they can turn to. So, like again, I think it's just exasperating what has been there under the surface all along that we've always managed
yeah,
to avoid.
yeah. I want to dig into what people normally turn to. What are some common things people turn to when they want to avoid their feelings that may have been taken away from them right now?
Um, for some of them, it's just even this like distracting themselves with work.
Hmm.
Some people are not working right now and have so much time to sit, right? Going out to bars, to clubs, to restaurants, right? Be getting together with friends to be social in that way and distract themselves from from spending time with themselves and having to hear their own voice. So yeah, I'd say those are some of the big ones I feel that have been pulled out.
Yeah. The two that have been pulled away from me is travel. Well, the two
Yeah.
big ones for me that I tend to go to is work and travel. And the travel was taken away, so I doubled down on the work, which was good in a lot of ways, because there's a big pivot necessary in messaging and things like that in regard to the business. And there was a really greater opportunity for us to be of service to our clients. So there was this, I guess, I mean, we didn't need to do anything, but I chose to work, and I worked and worked and worked. And then I hit the wall, and I go, okay, I knew I was going to hit the wall. And I was curious, because I've been taking it easy a lot and for years. And,
Ditto.
and I was thinking, let's see how far I can take this thing. So I got about 10 days in, and then I hit the wall, and I go, okay, that's where I'm at. So I took a few days off, and those few days off, I got really present to a lot of emotions and a lot of places where I was judging myself and all that kind of stuff. And because of the work I've done with you, is really enjoyable to work through in a way. Like there was some, sadness and guilt and all these things I was feeling. And at the same time going, okay, I know I'm moving through this. And so I just get to sit with it, and I got to sit with it for a whole day. And on the other side of it is, a lot of joy. And it's been, I want to let people know I'm having things come up for me too. And that's totally, totally okay. Have you had stuff come up for you in the last couple of weeks?
Very little.
Are you human?
I am. And, I was speaking, well, first of all, I have my support team, right? So I have my mentor. I have someone that I know is holding me through
Yeah.
this. So having
Yeah.
that, just knowing that I have that lifeline creates that peace. The other part is that I have two things. One is, because I facilitate this type of work, I feel that I'm always in the conversation. So always getting a chance to remind myself of it. And then the biggest thing is, seeing this as like a season, as winter, right? Winter is a time we're all like, we're not going out much, right? Like that's the experience globally. It's darker. It's a time to go inward. Um, I realized I
Got
had
me
my
thinking about Game of Thrones now.
I had my winter. I had my
Yeah.
winter, and my winter was long. My winter was from like last April until about when coronavirus started, about like February. And so what I mean by that is, like, during that time, like, I was moving through a lot of emotions. I am very much still human, even though I've facilitate this work and been doing this for 15 years. And I was grateful during that time to have my team to hold down the fort, so that I have that time to be with myself, to be in my winter. So I feel like I went through mine and then came out just in time to be able to solidly give and support others right now. So it was a very long, brutal winter for me. Almost a year, I'd say.
Yeah. So I imagine a lot of people are going, yes, I'm having my winter now.
Mhm.
My partner is driving me crazy, or my
Mhm.
parents, I'm worried about them.
Yeah.
Uh, I, I may or may not have a job right now. I'm not sure where money's coming from. Even if I am self-employed, are my clients going to want to freeze the work? And what I know for sure is there's a lot of business. Half the businesses I'm talking to are doing the best they've ever done, and the other half are doing nothing. So
Mhm.
it really depends on where things are positioned in the market. And so you have people that all these things are happening. How do you deal with these new things, these new feelings, new fear, new anxiety? Like you were saying, it's not new, but it's now way more noticeable.
Yeah.
And so people are having to stop. Our toys have been taken away, And then there's this additional pressure of, by the way, there's this virus out there that's killing, 1 to 3% of the population. And he's like, oh no. So what do you tell this person who's having this experience?
Hmm. Well, the suffering is optional, and that the suffering only happens if you are arguing with reality, if you are unwilling to accept reality, right? Reality being what's happening in this present moment. Whether it's external, can you accept what's going on? That, business may be slow, your gym may be closed, you might gotten laid off, coronavirus keeps growing. Can you accept it, instead of resist it because it's creating something inside of you that you don't want to feel? Again, more of not accepting what it is that you are experiencing. And that's actually what's causing the suffering. Resisting the suffering causes more suffering, causes
Yeah.
the suffering. So I think the first key part for people is that to get that this isn't something that we can run away from anymore. Most of our distractions have been taken away from us, most, not all. And that it's really an opportunity. There's an opportunity here for us to face something that, like I said, has been there all along.
Yeah. I think it's easy to say. It may be easy to think,
Mhm,
oh, this is a gift. This is a
mhm.
gift. And, um, people may hear me say that and, you know, throw some bullshit flags and all that mess and, whatever. You can do that. You can say, hey, Mike's just full of shit. But um, the for me, I've noticed that um, I've been able to see gifts in this every day. And so, like
Yeah.
you're saying, there's definitely moments where I go, oh, I wish things were different, and that sneaks in just for a second. I go, yeah, but then I wouldn't be getting all these other gifts, and I totally see that. I see so many things that would not have been possible at all had I been on the trajectory I was on.
Yeah, I mean, look, the growth happens. We grow the most in discomfort, in uncertainty, in the challenge. So, it's like a double-edged sword. On one hand, like our ego doesn't want it. But looking back, when we will look back in this in hindsight 2020, most of us, if we've taken this opportunity to go through it as opposed to avoid it, those of us that do that are gonna come out on the other side and say, holy cow, that was painful, that was a battle, and I grew so much from it. So ultimately, I think we all do want to grow in knowing what we're capable of. The more we grow, the more like our box expands, the more belief we have in ourselves, and knowing ourselves as powerful.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the thing that, the two things I see where people are experiencing the most fear would be the virus itself,
Mhm.
which, I tell people, what I've been telling people closest to me, and then, working my way out is take really good care of yourself right now.
Mhm.
There's no better time than right now to be doing breath work and cold showers and taking the right supplements and medicinal mushrooms and all that kind of stuff. And we're putting together a guide right now to basically a checklist of these are the basic things you should be doing. If you're not, this is really easy, cheap, whatever. So we're putting that together. And the other one is money. Uh, and when I talk to people, when I talk to them about their health, there's a lot more people have the ability to have control there, or at least they have this perception of control where it's like, okay, I can do these things to boost my immune system. I can avoid these few foods, these activities. I get a lot of rest. There's all these things I can do. I'm ready for that. But when it comes to the money part is more variable in a way because it's we're so interdependent as a society, and like money's not something that if you do it yourself you got it. It's how you engage with everybody else. What do you tell people who are really challenged right now where money is their big concern?
Mm. Um, the foundation of it is your relationship with money. It's a relationship. Look, I if I didn't have the relationship that I do with money, it's not like, money's flowing in right now to my business. I'm experiencing that drop as well. Um, when I say experiencing, meaning if you look at the numbers, yes.
Yeah.
How am I experiencing it is very different. Is from knowing that money is abundant, and the only thing that's not is time. Can't get time back. We can always make money back. And there's a trust, there's a relationship I've developed with it. And I feel most people have to first and foremost understand that, again, this is just highlighting something that's been there all along. What has been your relationship to money? How have you related to it? If it wasn't a physical person in your life, right? Oh, there's not enough. I wish there was more. It's like saying to that person, you're not giving me enough, or you're not enough. Why can't you give me more? And what type of relationship? If seeing it as an energy that could at any moment flow in, at any moment it could flow in for all of us. Opportunities can come. I know people interviewing right now, getting hired by companies, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
and then I know people that didn't have a product and now created one and are selling it. So like opportunity can show up, the money can, the switch can flip like that.
Oh
And
yeah.
so you
We
have
had
to
we
look
had
at
quite a few clients that went from their gym owners and they go, "Oh no, I hope I don't lose any clients," to keeping all their clients. And because they did such a good job of going online, they got more clients. And so they're making more money than ever when
yep,
most coaches are seeing a decrease. So
yeah.
it's true. It's one of those things. And I didn't expect that for them. I was going, okay, we're gonna do the best we can. I'm like, hold on tight. And I go, oh, actually, and then there was other client there, not every single client did that. So
Mm-hmm.
some clients did came out on the other side better than others. We're only 2 weeks in.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's things that we can control and there's things that we can't. And what we're telling ourselves, our mindset, is something. What we're feeding ourselves, we can. Have you heard of the salt and pepper experiment?
No.
So there's a group of people at a dinner table, and they've done this many times. And so two people decide to play along with this and be like, "Where's the salt and pepper? There's no salt and pepper. I can't believe there's no salt and pepper on the table." And they keep saying it. And so the people listening are listening, and they're buying into it so much that they don't see that the salt and pepper is on the table. And so, really tying this into whatever it is that you're telling yourself is going to create your reality. And so we can control what it is that we are saying to ourselves, right? So what are you choosing to buy into? What are you choosing to feed your mind? Because a lot of you are very good at choosing what you feed your body, right? And how you exercise. Well, how are you exercising your mind? And what is it that you're feeding that, so that that's what you're seeing? Because both
What
are
do you say to the person who's
powerful.
like, but a not, but a not, but this is how it is. Trust me, I've seen it my whole life. It's been like this. What do you tell that person?
It's if it's been like this your whole life, yeah, because it's a script. It's a script that you inherited, and you keep playing it out and not knowing that you could edit that script out. So keep saying the same thing, keep having the same results.
Yeah.
Say something new, right? And the truth is, like, can you accept that reality if that is your reality? Not just not as a I think most people are accepting it in a disempowering way.
Mm.
Like, and as opposed to what I said in the beginning of, like, how much can you accept the reality, and experience what that's creating in you, like what feeling you're feeling there, so much so that you can be with that feeling and that no longer has a grip on you.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you, so if someone is experiencing overwhelm, they, if they're starting to live Groundhog's Day, as I imagine some people are starting to have Groundhog Day, um, because of the quarantine. And I'll say this, I'm not experiencing Groundhog Day,
Mm-mm.
but I know a lot of people are. Even though I'm in the same house, every day I start off very similar, all this kind of stuff. But every day for me is this huge, there's a lot going on. There's a lot, and it's different from moment to moment.
Yeah.
What do you tell someone who's experiencing, they're in Groundhog Day right now, and they're just like, oh my God, when is this going to end? I don't know if I can handle this.
Yeah. And I know that's the reality for a lot of people, especially parents right now that have to juggle maybe working from home and being and not getting a break from their kids. There's no babysitter, right? There's no sending them off to school. So I know that's a reality. I actually spoke with a dear friend of mine last night that was like in breakdown about that. Like, I get no break, right?
Yeah.
The importance of experiencing and feeling whatever's coming up for you around that, like emotional resiliency. We need to learn how to feel whatever it is that we're experiencing, because that's really what you're trapped in. Like, look, the reality is yes. Oh, hey there, Ben. Um, the reality there is I can't get a break. This feels like Groundhog's Day. And so the way that people are talking about it, or that sentence alone, is very up here in the head. We can create even more stories and make up that, oh my God, what if this goes on for another 5 months? Right. And then you turn on the news and it's even worse.
Yeah.
And how much can we get to the root of it?
Yeah.
Bring this into, well, the experience that you're actually having because of that, because that's what you're feeling. The rest is a story that's imagined. I'm in Groundhog's Day. Well, are you fucking really? No, you're not. So breaking it down to, what is it that you're actually experiencing right now, because that's something that you can tend to and move through. When you think about a child, those of you that have kids, they want to play, and they want to play all day. They always want to play. They don't want to go to sleep. They want to keep playing. When is it that they don't want to play?
What are you asking?
When is it that a child does not want to play?
Oh, and they're upset.
When they're upset, right? When they're
Yeah.
feeling some emotion, right? So I think a lot of us, a lot of you that are at home right now and you have time on your hand and it feels like Groundhog's Day and you're like, damn, I wish that like I had something else, that like you want to tap back into your creativity. You want to tap back into that play. You want to make the best of this and have some fun. You have to tend to what's in the way of that. Just like the little kid, right? There's something they're feeling emotionally that is blocking them from wanting to keep playing. And as soon as they have that good cry or scream or whatever, they're ready. All right, let's go play again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you create, so you're having feelings and you're tired of having the feelings and you don't want to have them anymore. What do you do?
Yeah. Well, see, most people label their feelings. We all do, right? It's what we learned as soon as we got language. Um, right. So, an emotion, if you really look up the definition in Latin, is energy in motion. I'm sure some of you've heard that before. So, really, what it is it's energy, right? It's a vibration, it's a sensation. But we've all learned to label it. And if that label is, oh, I'm excited, oh, I'm happy, then we're like, cool, awesome, great. And if it's I'm sad, I'm anxious, I'm scared, those are quote unquote negative, and I don't want to, like, and then we go to our head. Why do I feel this way? How can I stop feeling this way? Right. And so the key is, first of all, to relate to it as that middle ground is however we label it, right? It's like that weed in the garden. And if you take it up to your head and why and how can I control this, and maybe I'll just go distract myself with this or that, you're really just trimming the weed.
Yeah, I remember for a long time, my strategy was I'm having, I didn't even realize I was having a feeling was driving it. I was able to see that I had a looping thought. I'm like, oh, I'm having this thought over and over and over again. It's causing me to have a bad day. And that one looping thought turns into 5 looping thoughts. And now I'm thinking about all this shit I'm not getting done. And, I have that experience. And so a lot of times I think for people, uh, if they're not having the experience of having a feeling and they're having these looping thoughts and this depression or whatever they're calling it, um, what I want to highlight here is there's a feeling driving that and you're just cut off from it.
Yeah.
And so, what do you tell the person who's got that looping thought and they think, no, I have to. And my old way of dealing with it was the distraction, which was I will think about something else. And I used to think that was like having a good mindset, or like I have a disciplined mindset, because when I have thoughts I don't like coming in, I can direct my mind to be somewhere else and not think about that. And now I deal with it in a completely different way. And I thought that I was like the master of that. And then I realized that's not the case.
Yeah, you end up just bottling it up, and then eventually it explodes, right?
Yeah.
And look, this is what we all learned. Most of us, had parents, had mothers that, as soon as we were old enough for them to communicate with us and understand, if we were crying or angry or upset, it wasn't like, oh, you're upset, I'm here for you. It was, why are you crying? Stop crying. You shouldn't be crying. Stop yelling. Calm down. So we were taught that these emotions are wrong.
You're upset. I'm here for you.
Oh, sorry. Pulled up my Facebook to see what was going on, and then there you were talking on my Facebook page.
Cool, it's working.
Sorry,
All
go ahead.
right.
Yeah.
Hi,
This
Facebook.
is the first time doing all this streaming, guys. So
Good to check it. We want to reach as
we're
many
testing
people as
things here.
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blasting this out on all channels.
So so most of us, we were programmed this way. We were programmed that to start to question and doubt, and ask and stop feeling these negative emotions, right? And so the opportunity here is to unlearn that, and to get the right learning. Just like some of us who learned the wrong way to do certain exercises. What are some common exercises that people come in the gym and you're just like, oh, geez.
Oh yeah, it's all of them for one. It's like people. It's hilarious to someone who's a movement specialist, like myself. It's like when people are like, oh, I can. To me, running. People think that just because they can put one foot in front of the other that they're running well. It's a high skill movement, and part of the problem with that is people been wearing shoes with too much padding, so they don't get the feedback. So the same thing happens with the emotional stuff. Is there's something messes up the feedback at some point, and now that's the new pattern. I mean, running, squatting. People think that they're like. I watch people do push-ups. I'm like, you're going to tear up your shoulder. And they're like, I feel fine. I'm like, today you feel fine.
Yeah.
So same thing happens emotionally.
Exactly, and you teach them the right way, and then they
I
practice
usually
it.
cane them first, hit them with a cane.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
that's
have
the
to
way to do it.
whip them into the right movement.
Yeah. Whip you into shape, literally.
Shape. Yeah. And eventually they get it right. And then they don't even remember, like the muscle memory is there. And so we have forgotten. We have forgotten what we innately knew and did before we had language. You look at a baby and an infant that can't speak and tell you anything yet, right? They are feeling what they're feeling, and then it's being expressed. It's being emoted out as that feeling.
Yeah.
And then they're good and they're done. That's it. And so it's for us to come back to that remembrance of how to move the energy. You think about when you have a stomach ache. A lot of times, we know what that sensation feels like in the body, right? It's like your stomach is in knots. Maybe there's like sharp pains, and you'll hear a lot of people be like, "Oh, I have a stomach ache," and we're even like changing our tone and the way we're saying it. It's like we're emoting. We're giving permission for it to be expressed the way that we're feeling it. We're actually connected to what it is. So the key to go from that middle ground of the labeled emotion, right? Think of it like the weed in the garden, right where the ground is, and instead of going up with it and trimming it, going up to our heads and finding some way, like you said, to mentally control it, we want to get to the root, right? Because if you trim it, it grows back. And if you get to the root and you pull that weed out, there's room for something new. So, what is one layer below emotion? Well, if emotions are energy in motion, it's the energy. And energy is the sensations in the body. So, all of us right now, if you focus on your feet, whether they're in socks or shoes or just touching the floor or the carpet. If you put your focus there right now, do you feel the sensation? There may be a temperature, like my feet are cold right now, a texture to how the rug or floor or sock feel, um, an area that you feel it in, right? So the size, there may be a color, a shape. This is what it is to be with something at the level of sensation, right? It may have a vibration, it may be moving, right? Like when we have that stomach ache, we could feel where it is and is it moving around? Is it still? And so learning to be with something at the sensation. You know, when you cut yourself, you may think that what's doing the healing is the band-aid and the ointment, and it's not, right? It's that it hurts so much, like you feel it, that you can't deny that you're feeling it. And I believe that therefore, like, there's a focus on it that you can't, right? Or you burn your hand. And as much as you want to distract yourself, the focus is on that feeling there. But I think it sends a signal to the brain, to everything else in the body, that that area needs support and healing, because you can't help but focus on it because it's that painful. And I think what's happened with our quote unquote negative emotions is that we numb out, we disconnect, we distract, we go to our heads. And so we're not sending a signal for our body to heal it. Our bodies are brilliant. I mean, look at us. We're all here on this planet. We all came out of our moms, and our moms did not have to give any thought at all to us developing in the womb. Yet we developed, right? Those of you that ate lunch or dinner or breakfast, right, so far today, how much thought are you giving to digesting it? Zero. Yet your body's going to know what to do. And so I feel that what's been missing, what people need to learn, and what I teach is how to be with it at the level of sensation and observe it as a sensation, just as energy. Take away the label, good or bad. It's just energy. And this is the form that it's expressing itself in: the temperature, the color, the texture, the movement, right? So much so, what I've witnessed hundreds and hundreds of times is that it is that easy. It is that simple. You just need to be with it and feel it as it is, nothing to change, nothing to fix. And the body knows how to release it.
Yeah. Easier said than done.
Yeah, easier said than done. It's a
There's practices
practice.
for this. So yeah, I want to point out, someone listening to this, I'm like, okay, I heard what it not said, so I'm going to do that next time. And then, I mean, they're likely going to bump up against something, right?
Yep. Yeah. And that's part of, what I teach in my program. So
Yeah.
I wanted to answer something you asked earlier about overwhelm.
Yes.
So something could be so intense, so scary, so painful, and we usually use the word "so" before the word, right? That we make it so big that it's like jumping in that shit pool. It's like overwhelming. And that's what has people shut down and numb out of it. Um, when you learn to track it wherever it is in the body, you understand that like it's just there. That's where it is. And at the same time, you can go focus back to your feet or, or your hands or your arms or anywhere else so that feels grounded, that feels safe. And you can see, you can go back and forth between, oh right, there is this pain right here in my chest. It's heartbreak, it's fear, it's whatever. And it's so intense, it's so much. And is it so much because you're feeding it with stories, like you're fueling the fire more, so being aware of that and coming back? Or is it just like so painful that you think it's going to take over all of you? And that's when there is to like tune into other parts of the body and be like, oh, okay, this area feels good and safe. The cushion, like the ground holding me, right? The chair, the couch holding me right now feels super, super good. And then you can come back to it and you can bounce back from that. Just like in exercising, right? It's
Yeah.
like it could hurt, it could be intense, and to know that like it's just that one part of the body.
I interviewed Jared Davis, who's one of our coaches, a couple weeks ago. So if people want to go back and listen to that show, highly recommend it. And he tells a story about his kid who gets smashed in the face with a basketball. And he has, and his kid is about 5 years old, and he has trained his kids to be with the experience, the feeling, and describe it. And so he was talking about how he was so impressed with one of his kids who got just smashed, and he watched it happen and goes, "Ooh, I know how that feels." Most kids would just cry and cry and cry and curl up into a ball. And he walks up to him and starts talking to him and asking him to describe his experience. And the kid walked himself right through it. He experienced every sensation and then was just like, okay. And I'm incredibly impressed with a parent who can teach your kid something like that early. That kid is going to be superhuman by the time they get to be 15, 16. Those are those kids that by the time they're 15, 16 years old, and people are going, how did that kid end up being a genius? It's like, oh, they just weren't blocked.
Exactly.
Their parents understood all of this. They removed the blocks. Genius exists in everybody. And if you're not having that experience of your genius or the genius of other people, then there's simply a block there. So it's there. That's one thing that I've seen over and over and over again. All right, now we have to roll. I've got to roll right into my next call. I've got our mothership, which you're going to join us on.
Awesome.
So thanks for joining us today. Where do people, if they want more information from you, you're doing calls right now on Fridays.
Yeah.
And you also have a free gift for people. I don't know if the free gift is ready yet or not, but just tell us about it and where they need to go.
Trainingcampforthesoul.com. We're updating the gift, but all the gifts are good. So whether it's the guided meditation or freedom guide, trainingcampforthesoul.com. And if you want to hop on a discovery call, hear about how we can deep dive and you can come out on the other side like Mike Bledsoe.
Be like me. I don't know if you want that or not. Everyone gets something different. They get exactly what they need.
Yeah. Become the best version of yourself. We do have a virtual program, and they can follow me on Instagram.
Awesome. Thanks, Anat. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.